Welcome to Two Dudes, One Movie Podcast, the podcast where two dudes dive into cinematic masterpieces from a different decade each week. From black and white classics to modern day blockbusters, we'll be covering it all. This season, we've been focusing on romantic comedies, and for our 7th episode of the season, we're getting stupid. Crazy stupid, that is. We're hitting our stride this week with none other than Crazy Stupid Love. Rick.
Park.
Are you excited? Are you excited for this one?
I am excited for this one. I love CSL's Park.
CSL's Crazy Stupid Love. Oh, I see what you did there. I put it together out loud.
I like it more than PSL's.
Ah.
Do you know what a PSL is, Park? Are you caught up?
No, I don't. That's why I said, ah.
Pumpkin spice latte.
Ah.
Park, I love the sweater today. You're bringing your game.
Thank you. Yes. Someone complimented me. I wore it like last week, and I haven't taken it off since, so.
It just has stayed on your body.
It's just stayed on.
The entire time.
All week.
Gave it a wash in the shower.
That's why I wear glasses, because I used to wear contacts, and I put my glasses on one day, and I got a compliment, and I haven't worn contacts since.
Sounds right, Park. You look great in glasses. You look great today, Park.
Thank you. If someone compliments me on this podcast, I will never stop.
Oh, like you'll never stop doing the podcast?
I mean, we were never going to stop anyways, but...
I think we signed a contract, a blood contract, if you will, until we are 68 years old.
And then we revamp our podcast because we'll be in a retirement community together.
Well, when we turn 69, we'll actually just start back with the same movies from season 1.
We just forgot.
Oh, well, Park, you ready for the recap?
Just get in the recap. I want some recap.
All right, here we go. CSL is the story of a sad man, a bad man, a creepy kid, a cheater, David Hagen, Spider-Man's aunt, a young Joey King, and for some reason, Josh Groban. A story of crazy people finding love in stupid ways. Pretty much just a season of This Is Us wrapped up in a single movie. CSL delivers a twist with more power and emphasis than an M. Night Shyamalan movie. All of this together begs the question that we will try and answer today. Is this the perfect mix of rom and com, with maybe even a hint of drama? Or is this tainted by a predatory babysitter in the final 2 minutes? Listen and find out.
Rick, there you just opened up a can of worms, like you always do.
That's the goal, Park.
That was a really good recap. I actually really like that. And you really were like going fast there at the beginning.
I feel like I have to say that part fast. I feel like it kind of flows better, you know?
So, Rick, after all of your incredible recaps, we obviously have the good, the bad, and the ugly.
We got to dive in because there are... I feel like there's quite some choices for all... It hits all three, Park.
Yeah, Rick, I've got a lot of goods, so I'm just going to dive into it if that's okay.
Give it to me.
Number one, and I think most people would agree with this, is the writing of this film and the interwoven storytelling. Let me just say it is so difficult to write a feature film, period. And then the more threads and storylines you start putting into it, the easier it is for a film to feel bloated or characters to feel unnecessary. But every character, big and small, plays an integral part in the story. And I think that leads to my next good, which is the backyard party. The backyard sequence where all of the storylines come to head is phenomenally done. And it also is done in a way to hit those rom-com story beats that we are so accustomed to of, you know, the couple is almost back together or all things are going good in the protagonist's life, and then what happens? The ridiculous thing that breaks them apart. And in that sequence, Steve Carrell and his wife were getting back together. They were back in love. Everything was hunky-dory, and then it all falls apart. I also appreciate that this movie does something a little different than your traditional rom-com. It's not about, you know, these two people meeting and finding love. Obviously, there's a whole group of people, but specifically I think of Steve Carell and Julianne Moore and their relationship of falling back in love with each other and kind of understanding the various elements of love. Besides Steve Carell and Julianne Moore, the rest of the cast was really strong. No one shines in this film, but no one outdoes anyone. Everyone has a very consistent role. Everyone was really solid in this. And then obviously Steve Carell is just so charismatic. I'm a big fan of whatever he is in. My last good, Rick, is the sequence between Ryan Gosling and Emma Stone, when they fall in love, when they had gone back to his place, they don't give a whole lot of time and development to that relationship. It kind of takes place towards the second half of the movie, and it all moves pretty quickly. But I bought into it because of just how much time they spent in the raw emotions and the realism that it portrays in that, house sequences when they go back to his place. So I really appreciated that scene. I thought it worked really well as a scene to buy us into that relationship moving forward. So Rick, those are some of my goods. I'd love to hear yours.
Do you think Gosling and Stone have the best, I guess, like on-screen chemistry? Is there anyone else you could think would top them in movies?
In movies, I mean, I thought When Harry Met Sally, the two of them just have fantastic chemistry and banter and go back and forth really well. Just from our season of what we watch, I would put them still at the top. The kings and queens. I do really enjoy Ryan Gosling and Emma Stone on screen together, obviously.
Well, planted the seeds for one of the greatest movies of all time, yeah.
Yeah, both of ours, one of our favorite movies. We both saw that together in theaters, two grown men.
It's a cute little date.
We walked out of that theater and sat in the little eating section right outside the theaters and sat there in silence for a good 10 minutes.
Didn't we watch it twice together?
Probably. I would have put it past us.
I would not put it past us either.
I think I saw that movie like 4 times in theaters, so.
Because I saw it first on your second time, and then on your third time, my second time, we also saw it together.
Yeah.
Well, Park, let's get into the goods. My first good's Kevin Bacon.
Mm.
No matter what type of character, whether big or small, Kevin Bacon plays in a movie, the movie starts at 11 out of 10 for me, and then it just drops down from there depending on what happens.
And it's all about the sins of the movie at that
point.
point.
Yeah. At that point, it's like this movie, I go into the movie, I see Kevin Bacon, wow, this is the greatest movie I've ever seen. And then we see what happens after that.
I had seen this movie once before, and I totally forgot that he was in this movie.
I did too, and I don't know why. I feel like I've seen this movie a lot.
I love his character. I just love Kevin Bacon. I'm with you, Rick.
I genuinely do not think another actor could play Lindhagen Hagen than Kevin Bacon.
No, it was great.
I got all-star cast, all-star acting, all-star story. Pretty much all what you talked about, and there's not much more I can say. I mean, I do think that so many movies, I feel like we get movies every single year, and there's like, I guess, at least 6 notable actors in it. Avengers, if you will. An Avengers movie.
Yeah.
I feel like it's hard to do it. Like, it's hard to do it well. Generally, like, 2 of the actors will like take like a back seat. So I feel like it's huge that you can actually do it well. Like, even in the rom-com area, I like always think when I think of like getting a lot of famous people in one movie, I always think of New Year's Eve and Valentine's Day as just like a lot of just random actors that are in it. And like those movies, on my personal Rotten Tomato, they're probably 30% if I had a personal Rotten Tomatoes. Like they're enjoyable, I guess. But it's just, in the end, it's just a blend of characters trying to make a cohesive story.
You know who does, as a director, does a good job of balancing a lot of characters and a lot of stars in his movies? Wes Anderson.
That's true.
I think he does a really phenomenal job of, even when a big star has a smaller role, you feel the presence of their character still. And I think that he does a great job.
It feels purposeful. I think that's the biggest thing. Like if you do have a lot of big names, like you want it to be purposeful.
Yeah. That's a great way to put it.
So like Wes Anderson, I think is like a genius at it. And yeah, Backyard Party. I mean, I think this is like this might be one of the best climaxes of a rom-com.
Yeah.
I've like seen. It might be the best. Whether this movie is like the best rom-com I've seen or not, I think the climax might be.
It's so wildly unrealistic, but feels so realistic because of the world that they created with this movie. And it just flows so naturally.
Well, so much happens too. Like it's funny. I feel like it's like so ridiculous. I love the twist. Like I mean, I just remember like the first time I saw this movie, there's no way to like think that Emma Stone's character is Cal's daughter.
Yeah.
So it's like it's nice. It's a nice way to do it, Park.
It is.
You should take notes when you become a big time director. Be good on the twist, Park.
Always taking notes, Rick.
Yeah, I have this movie is a win for Suits. Just dudes in suits. I think it's a good dude in suit movie.
Ryan Gosling looks like he's meant to just wear a suit at all times.
Or no shirt at all.
That
Those
too.
are the two.
Those are the two options.
Those are the two
Comment
options.
comment below which Ryan Gosling you want: suit Ryan Gosling or shirtless Ryan Gosling.
I'd have a tough time figuring out what I want. I would just want to do the Dirty Dancing move with him.
Rick, then you'll end up in bed with him after
That's
that.
true. I don't know if I want that. I'd like to try out the massage chair.
That's true. I would like to. I used to go to Brookstone all the time as a kid. There was one in our mall, and I would go there and just sit in those massage chairs while my mom and sisters would all go shopping. I'd be like, see you in Brookstones in 2 hours.
And it was right next to the food court.
It was
You can
perfect.
get your Chick-fil-A, take a short walk to the massage chairs.
It was literally perfect, and I don't think that store is there anymore. And it's just a different era, Rick. It's just a different era.
Well, the Boca Raton Mall, I feel like, is only things that we can never afford.
It's true. We couldn't afford things back then, and I still can't afford things from there.
It's true. That's true.
Some things never change, while others change all a lot. That wasn't very pretty how I said that, but
Well, Park, that was poetic, and that's a great segue into the bad. I'm going to go first. I have David Lindhagen. Hagen? However you say his name wrong, I have it as a bad. I don't know. I got confused. I've said his name so much today.
so Kevin Bacon is a good, but David Lindhagen is a bad.
Yeah,
Can
he's not a great guy.
Is that just it?
That's
all?
it. I like his character. I like it's purposeful, but he's not a good guy, so he's a bad.
Ah, I see.
That brings me to the point where I don't necessarily think anyone in this movie is a great person in the end. You know, Park, some would say that love is crazy and stupid. So people are too.
Yeah.
The actual bad, which I feel like I grapple with a little bit because obviously the Steve Carell, his whole story drives the plot of practically everyone. I just don't love how it's painted. The separation, I feel like it was painted to be more Cal's fault than his wife throughout the movie. Like it always felt like he kind of got more of the blame a little bit. And again, like I fight with it a little bit because I think it's also that you kind of need that with how they were portraying it. I just felt like he was so much more guilty than Julianne Moore's character.
Those are fair assessments, I would say. I've got a couple bads myself. Number one is they did my boy Kevin dirty. I just feel like the last time we see him in the film is, I believe, in the backyard sequence, and there's really no resolution with his character. You know, it's like he's there getting beat up, and then it's over. By David Lindenhagen. Schmagen.
I love the whole, like, I just love, like, Jacob, like, taking off his ring and then just walk over to him and punch him. The whole part
It's
of
like,
so
and like
funny.
thinking of it from his context, like he's like, I have no idea who you are. What is going on?
I know.
Yeah, it's again great sequence, really works. But yeah, I just feel like, you know, he's the whole reason everybody's in this mess, and then he's gone out of the picture after the backyard scene. Just doesn't seem right. Second thing is I don't necessarily believe the quote-unquote beef Cal has against Jacob when Jacob starts dating his daughter. Like, I understand Cal thinks he's a playboy and kind of, you know, messes around with women and stuff like that, but you would think over the course of their friendship and this journey that they've taken that he's gotten to see a little bit different of a side and seen more of who, you know, Jacob is, and in a lot of ways he's confiding in him. You know, Jacob is out of the goodness of his heart for all intents and purposes is helping him try to move on from his relationship that has failed, trying to help him grow as a person in the way that he has always come to think that that's how you're supposed to be. Whether that's right or wrong is a totally different question, but you'd think it wouldn't be so, you can't date my daughter. There'd be a little bit more confliction there. There'd be a little more nuance there, but it's just kind of like, Playboy, stop.
Park, we're not fathers yet.
It's true.
I also feel like there should have been concern. If there was any beef, the concern should have came from if he was curious how many, if at all, Ryan Gosling's or Jacob's STDs. I mean, he was
That's fair. That's fair. I just think though, Rick, I don't think that you wouldn't have the concerns as a father. I think the concerns are valid. I just think that now that he's known Jacob, that there would be more opportunity to communicate about the situation. But he doesn't really allow Jacob to communicate his feelings for Hannah to him.
But I do believe that there's something in the trope of like your firstborn daughter, any guy that tries to date her, you're not gonna like the dad cleaning the shotgun.
Yeah.
That like quick thinking plays into it. I think you're right though. Like I think there's definitely should have been. I either would have liked to see more conversation and like resolution, or more conflicts there. I feel like I think you could have brought it out more, I guess.
Yeah. And at the same time, like that, this doesn't take away from the film. I think it's still a really well done film. It's more of a nitpick when we're really getting down to it, because I feel like there aren't really a lot of bads of this film. It's a really enjoyable, well thought out, well paced, well acted movie.
It took me, I think, 7 minutes to write down a bad for this movie.
Now that we're nitpicky, why don't we get even pickier with our uglies?
You know, Star Park, or want me to dive in?
What my ugly is one of yours, which I guess I'll just go ahead and drop the ball. The nude photos. Now, we have differing opinions on why this is bad, and I'll give mine first. I just think, number one, I think it's a brilliant plot device to sow chaos within that backyard sequence. It just elevates it to another level. But it's so unrealistic. It's so ridiculous to think that this 17-year-old girl, 18-year-old girl is going to profess her like love and crush on this like 40-year-old man that has absolutely no idea her feelings by sending him nudes. That's just absolutely ridiculous. Nobody in their right mind is going to do that. You have to be completely delusional, in my opinion, to think that that is going to work or be a smart idea in any way, shape, or form.
Park. High school boys and high school girls are pretty crazy and deluded and delusional. So
yeah, Rick, but that's another level. If you're that delusional, you're not watching other people's babies and children.
It's true. I just feel like there's crazy people out there.
I mean, it is in the title, Rick.
Also stupid.
Yes. Maybe she was the crazy and the stupid in this movie.
Well, I also wrote down as an ugly just so I could say his name again, David Lindhagen. That's just a fun name to say. I'm going to delete it, though. It's not actually an ugly. We'll delete that. It's off the record, Park. Off the record. I wrote down a child is cringe. I think I was supposed to write down more there. I just dislike the final, like, I just like the final for like 10 minutes and like the resolution, I guess, of the backyard fight in terms of like, one, you're encouraging the middle school boy to relentlessly pursue girls, even if they literally directly tell him that he's making them uncomfortable. That's odd to me. And I don't think it's even odd in the middle of the movie. I think it's odd that it's like encouraged at the end. Or the part of the movie ending is like encouraging that and then rewarding it by he gets a nude photo of a high school girl.
Yeah, but I get what you're saying. I totally agree with you, but I also feel like his character is more of a metaphor and a motif of love is crazy, love is stupid, love is messy, but it's worth continually pursuing at the end of the day. I think it's
Park, but in Hollywood you got to be careful because
I agree. I think we all know what you're
there's a lot of names I could say, but
yeah, we're not that type of podcast, so Rick.
I understand that. I definitely I completely agree his point in the movie. I don't think you should take out the character at all. I just don't like the final 2 minutes. Like there's absolutely no reason why she should give him a nude photo of herself in the movie. One, that's literally, I mean, isn't she 17? That's like literally child porn.
Maybe she was 18 at that point. It was the end of the school year.
That would be still a different level of not good.
Yeah.
bad
There's a
things.
lot of interesting layers there. So I understand why it's on both of our ugly lists.
That's the only like plot line that to me felt I know like again like I think that there's something there with the characters. And I think that there was like purpose and like they should be in the movie, but some of the things just felt real icky to me.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
I understand their purpose. I understand what they were going for. They weren't trying to, reference anything bad or negative by doing it, but it does give a little bit of an ick. And maybe that's just the lens we view things through in the modern day and age now compared to how people approach things even 10 years ago.
I hope people weren't approaching things that way 10 years ago.
That's fair, Rick, but a lot can change in 10 years.
That is true.
Now that we're talking about the past and the present, I think that's the perfect segue into our next segment, which is a new segment to this season of the podcast.
And it's technically new to this podcast too. The title.
That's true. It's never been done before. We are doing a segment called Now and Then, different from our previous segment of Then to Now, because we are in the now and we're going back to look at the then. Back then, we were in the then, and now we were going to the now. But it flipped, Rick.
It did flip.
We're now then.
Now and then.
Now and then. Now and then.
There's definitely ties. I feel like there's definitely ties to rom-coms, but it was hard to figure out exactly what. The one thing I thought about throughout this movie, and then when I looked it up, it confirmed it, is I literally thought, because I had the idea for my intro as I was watching this movie, this feels like This Is Us. Or this like feels like Parenthood. This feels like one of those shows that's just like it's a big like family or people related or something like that, and it's just kind of intertwining relationships and different stories like that. And this felt like a sped up version of This Is Us.
Yeah.
Came to find out it's the same writers, so
it all makes sense now.
All makes sense.
That kind of brings us to our first point of this segment. I don't know if this film necessarily re-altered the genre or changed anything in the realm of the genre, although it does feel unique in its placement. It definitely has a little bit of an indie vibe to it. But I think that this movie kind of changed the television landscape a little bit with network television and these family drama-like stories that are being told. Like you said, with This Is Us. There's a couple others out there right now that are airing that I have to believe were created because of this movie as a pioneer for that type of storytelling. And obviously This Is Us happened because of Crazy Stupid Love. This Is Us doesn't happen unless this movie is successful.
Yeah, literally, because it's the writers.
Those writers don't get financed to create a show like that without a hit success to back it up. And then once This Is Us kind of blew up on the network television landscape, there were multiple shows that mimicked it in a sense, and that's kind of Hollywood to a T. You find something successful and you beat it to a dry pulp.
It's true. It's like the NFL park, spread offense. I also definitely think that like movies, and like this is not the first movie to I guess try to intertwine a lot of big characters. It just definitely feels like it, like after the success of this movie though, it was like tried over and over and over again. It never like quite like worked out. Like I guess like I immediately will always think of like Valentine's Day, and I guess Valentine's Day and New Year's Eve are similar to there's like what's the Hugh Grant one? There's like a massive one I'm missing in my head that also intertwines stories.
I couldn't tell you right now.
It's bad that we can't think of this in a rom-com season.
Rick, we're watching these rom-coms because we haven't seen them yet. Most of them.
True.
We have seen a few.
Love is in the title. I'm so upset I cannot get this.
Love's in like 5 million rom-com titles, though.
Love Actually.
Love Actually.
So Love Actually came out before this because that's 2005. I think Love Actually is similar. I think it's like kind of different things going on.
Yeah. Well.
So maybe this was inspired by Love Actually. I don't know.
Again, I don't think that any of the movies, at least from our season so far, have interwoven stories quite like this that hit on an ensemble level so well. You can go back to Sabrina, though, I think, and you can look and see these characters that have some level of interconnection with the brothers and their relationships directed towards Sabrina, but it's always at a much smaller scale. This feels so much bigger in its production and its conception than a movie like Sabrina with the interwovenness of those characters.
It's true. I mean, in the end, it was done so well. Like, I don't think it could have been done better in terms of like really feeling the story with every single character.
Yeah. And this was something I forgot to mention in my goods, but I want to mention right now is this movie does such a phenomenal job of sharing information with the audience in a very efficient way. Because a lot of these characters are smaller side characters that don't get a lot of screen time, that don't get a lot of development, but you still understand the context and the emotional stakes of each of them. I mean, look at the babysitter's father. He's got a couple scenes here and there, but when he finds out that, you know, his buddy who just got a divorce is getting nude photos of his daughter, he's going to town and you're going to take him out, you know? It's just, it all works. It just all works, and information is done really well.
Also, I guess not buddy anymore, because he was like, we can't be friends anymore right at the beginning of the movie. What an awful friend.
Yeah. Rick, would you do that to me?
I would never do that to you, Park.
Oh, Rick, I knew you'd say that. We're going to move on to our other new segment of the season, which is called, this week specifically, it's called Crazy Stupid Questions. That's STOOPID. Crazy Stupid Questions. And like every week, Rick, we've got some good ones for all of our listeners out there. And why don't you introduce our first question?
I always see what people are drinking. Gives me ideas. What do I want to drink? So when I was watching this, Park, I saw that Cal's go-to sad boy drink was a vodka cranberry, which I thought was kind of weird to be like a, I don't know, middle-aged man sad boy drink as a vodka cranberry.
We all have our crutches, Rick.
We do. And like obviously like vodka cranberries, you cannot taste the vodka at all if you're playing it right, I suppose. So that's probably the point. You're trying to get it down. You're trying to get that sucker down, you know?
Yep.
So Park, I have a question for you. What is your favorite or go-to sad boy drink?
Well, Rick, I can't say I'm much of a connoisseur of the drinking landscape. So, I'm going to have to go with my classic Jack and Coke, which I've been sipping on all podcast for everyone out there. For those of our listeners that are just listening to this podcast, I am currently holding up a Jack Daniels and Coca-Cola can to the camera. That is my go-to sad boy drink, but that is also my go-to
drink.
My go-to drink, my go-to happy boy drink. All of the boys.
Every single time that you guys come up to visit us, I ensure that we have both Jack Daniels and Coke just for you, Park.
Rick, I really appreciate that. Literally, it seems like anywhere I go where I'm expected to drink, there's always Jack and Coke on hand.
There has to be every single time.
Right.
Well, Park, my favorite sad boy drink is a Vegas bomb. No, this is not college anymore. It's not a Vegas bomb. But my favorite sad boy drink, I feel like I'm just trying to drink whiskey, you know? Like if I'm a sad boy, I guess I'm kind of a sad boy sometimes. Whiskey's going to be not even on the rocks. Like just, I pour that guy and I drink it, Park, straight up.
I can't do on the rocks. I'm not that hardcore, unfortunately, or sophisticated, however you want to look at it.
I guess if I'm like really, really sad, maybe a bottle of wine. I have no idea. I haven't been like really, really sad in a while. I guess I'll let you know when it hits.
Hey, that's a good thing. That's good.
That's a good thing.
Looping back to your first answer, though, I really enjoy the Vegas bomb. I haven't had one since college.
They're so dangerous, Park.
Rick, I got a question for you.
I'm ready to answer.
Obviously, Ryan Gosling's character is a playboy, and he has many lines that he brings up to approach women. It got me thinking, what's your go-to pickup line?
I did not think about this until right now.
That's the best way to do it, Rick.
This is tough.
I got one.
You just give me yours.
Knock, knock.
Who's there?
Good looking.
Good looking who, Park?
Me and you.
Mm.
You like that?
That's a great one.
I know.
I'm going to go with I know you're busy, but add me to your list of things to do.
Oh, Rick. That's good because everyone's busy in today's day and age.
It's true. You got to have a list. Well, Park, we have one more crazy, stupid question here.
We do.
Are you ready for it?
I guess so.
You wrote it, but I'm going to read it. Is Steve Carrell a better dramatic or comedic actor?
Good intuition skills right there, Rick, because there was that sentence had
There's no
that
actor
was,
at the end.
There was no completion to that. What is written says, is Steve Carell a better dramatic or comedic? So I'm really glad that you picked up on that.
What do you think, Park? Give me your insight on.
Well, I just think it's
Steve
interesting.
Carell.
I feel like this movie is kind of a blend. It's such a pure blend of both of those skill sets. But obviously, Steve Carell is known for some of his high-profile comedy roles, such as The Office, Anchorman movies, The 40-Year-Old Virgin. But he's also, in the latter part of his career, really taken on a dramatic role. He also, in real life, has more of a reserved, quiet personality, which I think suits him better for his dramatic performances. Personally, I have to say he's a better comedic actor. I just think of the roles and the characters that he's portrayed, and they're so much more memorable than the dramatic characters. It's just his timing and his delivery, even in this movie, with some of the funny one-liners that he has. It's all about his timing and his delivery.
I know his delivery
those
is
lines.
huge. That's his whole thing. Is his timing and delivery is met. Like I feel like in all of the roles he plays. I agree with you. I almost think that we're still waiting on like a great dramatic movie from him because I feel like it can be there.
I actually never saw this. That wrestling movie with Channing Tatum that came out back in like 2014 or 15, like Fox something.
He's great in it. I just think the movie itself is a little weak.
Yeah.
Like I know he's also in The Big Short. He's great in The Big Short. So I guess that's probably the best like movie he's probably been in.
Yeah, but it's still like not his performance or his role.
Yeah, it's not his.
I genuinely believe though Steve Carell is a strong enough dramatic actor that he could lead a character study type of movie.
Yeah.
And get some Oscar buzz from it. I think it's just finding the right role in the right time. Kind of like Brendan Fraser with The Whale, you know? It's just one of those situations where it's got to be lightning in a bottle, but I don't doubt his abilities to do that. But at the end of the day, he's going to be remembered for his comedy.
There's a lot of that like generation of comedy actors that I think can like really like kind of deliver it.
You know who else I think can? Which is probably a really hot take. I think Will Ferrell can.
Yeah, Will Ferrell definitely can.
He's definitely mellowed out more in his later years as well in a lot of ways, but I think him and Steve Carell could pull out some gems in the latter half of their careers, Rick.
I think Ben Stiller's great in serious roles.
He's also a great writer and director.
That's true.
Just look at Severance, Rick. That series is absolutely phenomenal, and
I always forget that he directed that. I remember seeing that at first.
Yeah,
It's
I'm pretty sure he had a writing role in it as well. Don't hold me to that, but I believe so. But either way, very talented individual. We've got one more thing for you all, our fun activity of the podcast. We love to do these fun activities with you, and boy, oh boy, do we have a doozy for you this week. Rick, we're back to Buzzfeed. Buzzfeed has re-sponsored the podcast, and we're back with one of their quizzes.
I'm glad they came back, Park, because they pay us the most.
They were getting a little desperate there. We finally were like, all right, Buzzfeed.
Okay, yeah, let's calm down, Buzzfeed.
We'll give you one.
Yeah.
The quiz that we're doing this week is titled, Which Ryan Gosling character should be your soulmate based on this food test? So I think this is just the perfect quiz for us, Rick, specifically because season 1, you used to do food reviews all the time, and we both love Ryan Gosling. So I couldn't think of a better quiz.
It's true. Hey, you know, Park, maybe we'll get back to food or drink reviews where we'll see what happens, Park. We'll see what happens.
Oh, I can already tell I don't like this quiz by question number 1.
I know. I'm excited for you to answer this.
Pick a fruit. Here's the fun fact about me, everyone. I don't really like fruit. I'm not a fruit guy. I actually despise fruit. My answer is going to be based off of my conception of fruit through artificial flavored drinks. And I think of all of these options, strawberry would be the one I would go with.
Oh my gosh, even that's disgusting. Not even orange.
Orange would be a second. Orange would be
Oh,
second.
I feel like the artificial strawberry flavor is so bad.
What can I say?
Parker, as a man, I'm picking banana.
That's an interesting choice there, Rick. Pick a drink, though. We've got water, soda, tea, coffee, beer, and lemonade. Easy. Soda.
I think it's for my drinking habits. I feel like I'm a soda person too. I would go in gluten free. I had to turn beer down. I had tummy issues. Can't do coffee that much anymore. Tea just tastes like grass. Gotta be soda.
Yeah, there's not really a lot of realistic options on here. If wine was on here, that might have been your option, though, wouldn't
That
it?
would definitely have been my option. That's a mainstay in my household these days.
All right, Rick. Pick a pasta. Spaghetti, rigatoni, macaroni, bow tie, shell, ziti.
Rigatoni.
Rigatoni.
That's not my choice though. It's the best. It's the best word to say though. I'm gonna go with macaroni, Park.
That's a good one, Rick. I was thinking about that one, but I think I'm going to go with shell. But I'm only going with shell because I'm thinking of mac and cheese. And if you get mac and cheese with the shells and it's got all that cheese inside of it, that's just peak. So that's why I choose shell.
Well, Park, we have made it to the veggies. Pick something healthy to eat. A cucumber, tomato, spinach, carrot, pepper, and kale.
Rick, this one is really easy for me. Spinach.
That's just such a funny choice out of these.
I actually like spinach.
I'm going to go with carrot.
Also, should tomatoes really be in this section?
No, they should not be.
It's a fruit.
Well, I guess it's pick something healthy to eat.
Yeah,
which
it's
they're
technically
healthy.
not a vegetable segment. It's a healthy segment.
Oh, here's one we can answer, Park. Pick an ice cream flavor. Chocolate, vanilla, strawberry, cookies and cream, coffee, or mint chocolate chip.
My younger self would have instantaneously picked chocolate. My older, sophisticated self would easily pick vanilla. But I've landed somewhere in the middle of that, and so cookies and cream is my final answer.
Oh, that's where I'm going, Park. Anytime I'm going to get a milkshake, I always eat cookies and cream.
It's just the correct answer, Rick.
Park, you want to pick some candy?
Oh,
Jelly beans, M&M's, Skittles, Jolly Ranchers, chocolate bar, or Twizzlers.
that's tough. There's a couple of really high tier.
If anyone that
candies on
answers
here.
this picks Jolly Ranchers, I question them.
I do like Jolly Ranchers, but of these choices,
Of these
it's
choices,
not,
though?
it's not peak. I really love Skittles, but I think I'm just going to go with a chocolate bar.
I'm going Skittles.
Okay, good. I'm glad you went with it at least. Rick, pick a snack. Fries, Doritos, pretzels, Oreos, Cheetos, or crackers.
If I can have fries as my snack, I'm doing that every single time. But to me, fries is not a snack.
So where do you land then, Rick?
Since I truly don't believe fries are a snack because I never have fries by themselves, I think I gotta go. This is tough. I'm gonna go Doritos.
Doritos. Interesting choice. I would obviously go with Oreos over Doritos, but I'm going with fries because I do believe it's a snack.
Parker, when was the last time you had fries? You either made fries or ordered fries and nothing else. See, it's not a snack. Well, Park, you're a snack, and you tell me which Ryan Gosling character is your soulmate.
This is actually really funny. My Ryan Gosling character that would be my soulmate is Jacob Palmer from Crazy
That's so
Stupid Love.
That's mine too. I think
Is
it's
it?
fake. It's a fake quiz, BuzzFeed.
Everybody gets Jacob Palmer. I'm just gonna go back and see if this is.
I'm doing only things. I'm going real quick. I'm doing only things I haven't chosen.
No, you can definitely get a different one. Lars Linderstorm from Lars and the Real Girl is an option.
I just wonder which question. I feel like some questions determine the whole thing. Oh,
Yeah.
I got La La Land. So I guess you can. Sebastian would have been my
That's who
my
you
choice
wanted.
of soulmates. I think. Yeah.
I'm okay with Jacob. He has good character growth there.
He has suits.
He looks good to suit, and he looks good shirtless, so
This is very true.
we're set. Well, that was fun, wasn't it?
I had some fun. Did you have fun?
Yeah, some would even say that was a fun activity.
This is the moment that everyone probably just skips to the end, and if they're interested in our opinion, they'll see this. If not, they'll just skip it. This is the ROM and the COM scale, Park.
Are you implying that some people skip to this section, then realize they don't care about our opinions, and then skip over this section, Rick?
That is exactly what I'm implying.
Oh, okay. Just wanted to make sure we were on the same page there.
Park, I'm going to go first.
Okay, please.
Is that okay? Can I go first?
Yes, you can always go first, Rick.
I'm going to go the calm. I feel like I'm judging this by if I think this movie is as funny or funnier than When Harry Met Sally. I think When Harry Met Sally, the calmiest movie, if you will. I'm going to go with a 4. I just think the calm, it's hilarious. Like, to me, when I think back to this movie is the backyard scene. And that's because I just think it's hysterical. I'm laughing the entire time at that. Other than that, I don't think that it's like the most incredible comedic movie. But to me, that carries enough weight that I'm going to give it a 4. And then I'm also going to give Rom a 4. Wait. I'm not going to give it a 4. I'm going to give it a 3.
Gasp.
Because when I really think about it, like, I kind of buy into the romances, specifically our favorite chemistry couple. But, like, there's not a lot of Rom other than I feel like some of their scenes. So I don't know. Yeah. I'm going to go 3. So we got 3 and 4. We got a 7 out of 10. I thought I would rate it higher.
Well, the Rom and the calm scale never lies, Rick. So even when you
Never
think
lies.
you're going to come in with a better score, it humbles you.
That's true.
Rick, I'm not too far off from you, I think. I'm going to do something this week that I don't normally do with this scale, and I don't even know if it's allowed. But, Rick, I'm going to give my calm a 3.5. I'm going with the 3.5. To me, it's not enough to be a 4. It's not enough to be that high because of the backyard sequence, because of some really great one-liner deliveries from Steve Carrell. I have to put it above a 3. It just feels too low at that point. So 3.5 is the only thing that feels natural for me in the calm scale. And Rick, the same thing goes with the Rom. I have to give it a 3.5 as well.
We're both at 7s.
Yes, Rick, we're both at 7s, which, I think that's a fair thing. There are certain aspects that this movie does that are a 10 out of 10 in its level, but they're moments. Again, just going back and talking about the romantic side of this movie, you're right. It is fairly lacking. It's a lot of people chasing after other people that are looking in other directions. One of our main romantic centerpieces of the film doesn't really start until the second half of the film, and it doesn't get enough screen time to really develop into something really special. I think they do a great job at establishing the romance and letting us buy into it. But at the end of the day, you need more than just, a 15-minute scene of these two people falling. If this was Rotten Tomatoes, they would be not rotten. It would be
Fresh.
Fresh. Yeah, exactly. So those are fresh scores. We have one more thing we need to talk to all of our listeners out there about, and that is what movie we're watching next week. We've made it all the way back to the 2020s present day again. Can you believe it? In our second season, we're already back to present day.
It's crazy, Park. We're going to be wrapping up soon. We got our choices coming up after that. There's a lot of exciting things to look forward to.
There is a
before
lot.
Season 3.
There's a lot of exciting things going around, but the first of those exciting things is our movie next week, which is going to be, drumroll please, Palm Springs. Rick, I'm excited about this movie mainly because I don't know much about it, and I personally haven't seen it. But that's part of the reason we're doing this podcast, is so that we can expose ourselves to some of these really phenomenal movies that go under the radar, some of these classics that have slipped us by, and kind of relish in them. And so this has had a lot of high praises around it, but it's one that just kind of slipped my radar, and I'm excited to give it a try.
Park, I watched this movie around COVID. I think it came out around COVID times. Because only thing I remember from this movie is I obviously remember the plot, but one of my first texting conversations with my wife, I think I brought up that I was watching this movie.
Wow.
So there we go.
That's like full circle, Rick.
It really is, isn't it?
It's beautiful.
I guess that wraps up another episode, Park.
I guess it does. You have been listening to Two Dudes, One Movie Podcast, the podcast where two dudes dive into cinematic masterpieces from a different decade each week. From black and white classics to modern day blockbusters, we'll be covering it all. Thank you guys so much for listening to another episode. We are almost to the end of our romantic comedy season, folks. Present day next week. How exciting. But until then, we'll see you next time.
David Lindhagen.
Two Dudes, One Movie Podcast is an independently created podcast.
Like, rate, follow, and subscribe wherever you listen.
You can find the podcast on Spotify, iTunes, or wherever you get your podcasts.
You can also find us on YouTube, where we post full video recordings of each episode.
And don't forget to follow us on Instagram at Two Dudes, One Movie Podcast.
Thanks for listening.